What's up, guys? We're back with another ThunderCats Ultimate Wave 4 review, taking a look at probably the most interesting figure in this wave because this character has never had a toy. So we're finally dipping our toe into that territory where we're getting figures that did not exist yet. We're taking a look at Pumm-Ra, and for the uninitiated, it's mumm-ra. I mean, obviously, the name alone tells you what's going on. So we've got our mumm-ra in disguise here as a ThunderCat, basically. And he comes in the villain packaging, so you've got mumm-ra's logo there, foil embossed on the slipcover. Take that bad boy off, and we've, of course, got our figure within, so he's there in that big window. ThunderCats logo down there on the bottom, and some stellar artwork of him just going nuts on the back, as well as a bio for what's going on with this guy. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Pumm-Ra figure, a very good new direction for this line where we are getting into the realm of characters that have never had toys before. So there isn't a vintage counterpart to this guy. He is all new and he's going to be on our shelves for the first time. So I'm excited about that. He's pretty normal when it comes to this line. There's nothing crazy about his design. He's basically a naked lion puma guy with a new head sculpt on him. So there's a lot of stuff that we're familiar with here, but it's what he represents in this line that is most exciting. He is, spoiler alert, mumm-ra in disguise too, so he plays a interesting role when it comes to the collection because he's not a pivotal character by any means. He doesn't really do a great deal. He just presents a challenge for our ThunderCats, but it's kind of nice to have a different kind of lion on the shelf. So let's see what he can do. See how he moves around. He's pretty normal. There's nothing too crazy or different about this figure compared to, say, Lion-O or Jogger or anything like that. So we've got a head that can look down slightly, so that's neutral. He can look down slightly. You can't go up. No real tilt either, just maybe a little bit. And then you've got full rotation. Arms go out at the shoulders, and he is, of course, covered in a very weird robe. So he does have some restrictions because of the clothing on him. I'm going to just unwrap this for a second. The arms, of course, they can go all the way around, so no issues with spinning them or anything like that. They all rotate just fine, like any other arm you would expect. You've got your bicep swivel. We've got our single jointed elbows, give you about 90. There's no rotation on these elbows because he has a bicep swivel. We've got our wrist hinges and rotation. And let me put this back on him real quick. Let's just wrap him back up, sort of haphazardly for the time being. Ab crunch backwards slightly. Forwards, though, pretty good. There's good range on that ab crunch. We've got a waist swivel down in here that is, of course, hidden, so it does hide that joint really nicely. Our legs can go out pretty far. Not full splits, but pretty good. And then they kick forward basically all the way. Kick backwards slightly. You do have your twist up there at the thigh. And then, of course, we've got our single jointed, give you about 90 degrees, rotating knees. And then as far as our ankles go, we've got a little bit kick forward, good kick backward, and then a really nice rocker down here at those feet. So he's pretty standard. There's nothing different about this guy from, say, Lion-O or Panthro or Jogger or anything like that. He is basically a naked ThunderCat underneath this robe too. So there is very little restriction to the base body until you take into consideration the fact that he does have this robe that's sort of cinched around all of his arms and, of course, part of his torso. Now, that said, the big thing for this guy is really just his looks and these soft goods. So, for the most part, normal body, standard stuff here, really. And again, he's not as ostentatious in many ways as a lot of the other figures. He doesn't have any crazy armor. He doesn't have some weird color scheme or anything like that. He is very much like a very true to life kind of lion puma coloring here. So there's a lot of browns and some whites and a little bit of dry brushing or more of airbrushing really up here on his chest. So there's not a lot of paint on him. He does have some paint down here on his calves and his ankles down here. He's got the very white chest, which looks fantastic. I really like the finish on this paint on his chest. And then there's a little bit of airbrushing to sort of blend the white on his chest into the brown that accounts for the rest of his, fur, really. So that looks good. It's very clean. But the rest of the figure, it is unpainted. He's got some thunder pants down here. And again, you could take this entire robe off if you want, and it can you can have a naked Puma man. If you want to do that, you can have a naked guy on your shelf. Or is he naked? ThunderCats, you know, first episode, they're pretty much butt naked. So you've got this robe, though, to cover him. And this is a really, really weird robe. So it is this sort of, it's a non-wired piece from the waist down. This Velcros together. So it Velcros right there. And then you've got this belt that's basically like an elastic band almost to sort of cinch it onto him. And then you've got this piece here, the sort of shawl that will be wired all the way around. And it's sewn onto the top of this piece right here. And then let's unwind it. And then it's this big, big piece of fabric. So like it really hangs off of him. And there you can see his exposed, muscly Puma chest. But you've got this piece, and this is all wired. So there's wire that runs all the way through it. You can bend it around however you want. But really, it's to help it cinch down onto his chest. So that wire, when you've got it on him, it will pull it a little taut around his shoulder and his chest. And then you kind of loop it under and around to cover this arm. And then you've kind of got your Pumm-Ra. Looks kind of like, you know, he's kind of like a wayward traveler in many ways. But I really, really like this. The robe is very nicely done. The soft goods are just tremendous on it. I do think the colors look nice. They blend really well. It's, you know, a lot of browns on this figure. He's a very earth tone kind of character and figure. But the soft goods here absolutely make this guy. It's again, it's a weird robe, but I think they did a nice job translating how it looks in the show into something that fits on a figure that doesn't get in the way too much. It does hinder his arms going up and down, but you can account for that because it has the wire. So, you know, take it off, move his arm, and then of course put the robe back on. And it's really easy. No muss, no fuss, none of that stuff. It works exceptionally well. And then we've got this head sculpt up here, which, I mean, it's a Puma head with a snarling, screaming mouth with an eye patch. I mean, what's not to love about this? So he's definitely a little bit of a different kind of character, and this is probably the head sculpt that I prefer for this guy because he's a bad guy, so he should be looking a little bit more battle hardened and angry. But there's a ton of paint on this head sculpt. The eyebrows, the eye patch, clean paint on the one eye that's painted, and then you've got a little bit for the nose and then the mouth area. Teeth look really great. The tongue is painted. There's even, I don't know if it's easy to see, but there's a uvula sculpted on the back of his throat. Like, there's a lot of little detail up in there that's really, really nice to see. And then, of course, he's got this flowing mane of hair, literally a flowing mane with his ears poking out. So great expression. Works really well in conjunction with the other ThunderCats that have very battle focused head sculpts, Lion-O, Panthro, Lynxo, stuff like that. So you can throw him up against them and they'll look like they are locked in battle with these really nice expressions to go along with it. And then as far as some size comparisons go, here we are with the Monkeyan from the same wave and of course Lion-O, which is our barometer for this line. And you can see that he very much is in line with Lion-O, a little bit more than Monkeyan. Monkeyan sits a little bit higher in terms of like shoulders and his chest a little bit, but they are all very normal when it comes to the average scale of this line. Let's move this guy aside and we'll put him with himself, right? So here he is with the mummy mumm-ra, because of course we're still waiting on the big guy to get here, but you can see just how well he scales with something that is far different within the confines of this line. Mumm-Ra is still very much a unique figure outside of the norm when it comes to this stuff. And then let's move Lion-O aside and we'll do another ultimate. So here he is with a turtle. Here he is with Donnie, to give you an idea what he looks like next to the TMNT stuff. And then let's take Mumm-Ra aside, and here he is with a Mythic Legions. So a skeleton from Legions that is, of course, in the same scale, roughly, as ThunderCats. And then let's do a normal-ish 6-inch 112 style figure. Here is our new Spider-Man body with the Ben Reilly Spider-Man from the recent retro wave. So you can see Pumm-Ra here very much in line with everything else. He's gonna fall in place with all the ThunderCats, and then he's gonna fall in place pretty well with the mutants. For accessories, Pumm-Ra has a pretty decent spread. It's one of those instances where, because he's not really in the show very much and he honestly doesn't do a great deal, he's basically getting all the stuff that sort of sets a scene and plays off the episode. So to start with, we do get the extra head sculpt here, and this is just kind of his stoic one, more neutral, obviously not really expressive compared to the other head sculpt that he comes with in the box. So here's your comparison. And I like both of them. I think they're really great. They're very specific in terms you want to do with them, but you've got options, so I do really like that. We get some extra hands, so similar to some of the other figures in this wave, we do get a bunch of gripping hands. So he comes with the sort of style pose, clawed style hands on him in the box. We get vertically hinged and horizontally hinged sets of hands. I kind of wish he came with fists. You know, I keep saying that because I don't know that I need both hinge styles on this particular figure, but I'll take it. We do get the communicator from this episode, and it's done up in just, you know, like blue with some purple and gold accents on it. We get the covered Sword of Omens. So, of course, you know, the idea here is that he's infiltrating Cat's lair. He's trying to steal Lion-O's goods. He wants all of the stuff that Lion-O uses for himself, of course, you know, being Mumm-Ra, of course. So we've got the silver blade here, very shiny silver this time around, with the sort of fabric wrapped all over it to conceal the Eye of Thundera. So I do really like this. It's a very scene-specific kind of accessory. And then we get a claw shield for this guy. So this one's interesting. So you get a claw shield for him, and it's not the same that Lion-O has. So that one is actually pegged. There's no peg in this, and it just sort of fits over his arm. I'm not so sure how well it's going to stay on there. It seems fine so far, but he's got a claw shield, and it's a closed fist, so I do like that. So you've got a closed fist. See there, when it popped off. You've got to watch what you're doing with it, and I didn't. So pop that guy on, and he's got a closed fist, and you can use this on Lion-O too. So I do like that. So it is going to be slightly interchangeable between him if you want to take the other one off and put this one on to give it a little bit more of a different look. So that's kind of cool. It's also a little bit smaller than Lion-O's claw shield. Of course, that one's supposed to be a little bit bigger because he's got it fully open and extended. So I guess it would make it look a little bit larger. But yeah, this is kind of interesting. I wasn't aware that this was going to be a different shield, or maybe it just wasn't something that I paid attention to too much when it came to checking out these accessories. Now, the last thing this guy gets is kind of bittersweet because we really can't use it yet. We get this. We get a larger size head sculpt for the ever-living Mumm-Ra figure, and here's the regular one to give you an idea of how much bigger it is. So it's a decent amount larger. It's the same head sculpt, just at a larger scale. So this is supposed to be for that brief moment where Mumm-Ra is transforming into Pumm-Ra, and you see, you know, Mumm-Ra's body with Pumm-Ra's head. And it's one of those weird little bonus pack-ins that, you know, are you going to display it like this? Who knows? But it's also something that you can use to sort of build out the scene when it comes to all the stuff that happens in this episode. So while we can't really use it yet, I am looking forward to messing around with this when the time comes. So yeah, overall, this is a really good figure. It's really nice to be able to get a new toy, like literally something new for ThunderCats finally in this line. So this holds a special place when it comes to this line for me, but it's exciting to just get a new villain too. He's of course not the most important thing to ever happen to ThunderCats, but he's going to go really nicely with our cats. You know, you can use him as a good guy, you can use him as a bad guy, because he definitely fills both of those roles in the show. He of course comes with some really solid accessories. I'm just chomping at the bit to use that large Pumm-Ra head on the Mumm-Ra whenever we get him, but the rest of the stuff he has is all very episode specific. And then of course he is complemented by a really well done piece of soft goods here. I really can't stress that enough. It's a weird design for this robe, and they translated it very well into toy form where it doesn't really get in the way, it flows nicely, the wiring is really well done, and it just cinches on him well to be kind of flowing but also not all over the place at the same time. So that's going to do it for this look at the Super7 Ultimates ThunderCats Wave 4 Pumm-Ra. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.